Hey guys and gals, Undead. I want to talk a little bit today about, do all games deserve an easy mode? Simple answer, no, they do not. Certain games have certain mechanics that make the game difficult or easy. Certain games are harder or difficult to add a different player experience. You look at games like the From Software games that are known for being hard but fair. The only outlier is Sekiro because the game is known for being a gimmick. That's about it. That game is criticized for being more difficult than other Souls-like games. Then you have side-scrolling games that are hard, like the old Contra games and stuff like that, and Battletoads. And one of the biggest references of the last couple of years is Cuphead. I am not a fan of Cuphead because I suck at it, but a good friend of mine is, so, well, hope she actually enjoys this little Cuphead mug. But you have games that are difficult in a different sense. You have roguelike games like Enter the Gungeon and Hades, Binding of Isaac, one of the best games ever made. That game is insanely good. And then you have games that are not really difficult, but they're adventure games, and you can ramp the difficulty up, but when it comes to an adventure game, I'd rather lower the difficulty to as low as possible so I can actually enjoy the game and understand it. On my second playthrough, I'll bump the difficulty up higher. An example of that is God of War. I finally got myself a PS4, and I'm having an amazing time with it. What little bit of Bloodborne I was able to play because it wasn't updated. And it has it's never been played on this console, so I was playing on version 1.0.0.0, and good God, those 5 to 10 minute loading screens are a pain in the dick, aren't they? But it's hard but fair. Games like this, I literally put it on Give Me a Story. I've seen a complete 100% walkthrough, and I've seen a 100% speed run of this game. I've already experienced the game through someone else's experience. But when I get my hands on it, I want to play it on as easy as possible so I can actually take my time and just breathe in the world that I'm in and enjoy it and not beat my head against a wall. Now, we go over to a game like Bloodborne, and it's actually hollowed right now because the disc is still in the console. I'm having a great time with it with the difficulty. It is balanced just right so that it is painful, but it is not so much painful that it's not a good experience. I got this idea as well because there was a Twitch streamer, I don't know what her name was, she's like, I'm constantly getting gatekeeped because I will yeet you right out of my chat, or whatever she was saying, because she's like, people were roasting her for playing all her games on easy mode. You're gonna get flamed. Get over yourself. Just saying. But I don't mind if a game is hard. I don't. Certain games aren't for me, though. If a game is too hard, I'll say, not really for me. I can't get into it. Like Cuphead, for example. It's not my style of game, for one. I'm not that big into side-scrollers and boss rushes like that. And two, I don't like to constantly beat my head against a wall. When I play games, I play to relax and unwind and just, as I said, just breathe in the atmosphere and just experience the game for what it is, not constantly, there it is again. Died again. Wow, this is really fun, man. This is hard. This is really fun. The only time I ever get sadistic like that is when it comes to the Dark Souls games. They're meant to be played like that. The world is unforgiving. The game is unforgiving. It's meant to be a struggle. You are literally nothing in the world you're in, so it's going to be hard. That being said, certain games I absolutely do play on the hardest difficulty just because. I tried playing Doom Eternal on the hardest difficulty. I lasted probably 30 minutes. That was enough for me. I had to crawl back to like medium mode because it just was not an enjoyable experience. Games like BioShock, I purposely play it on the hardest difficulty because it adds just that much more tension when it comes to survival. And speaking of survival, did you know they're adding Rust to consoles in May? That game barely runs on PC. Let's see how that goes. But back on this. It's a different experience. Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, I played it on expert mode for years just because I wanted the tension. I wanted it to be an experience like that, but it's no fun going down in 5 hits. It's not fun to enjoy that. An adventure game, though, like I said, I will drop it down to the lowest difficulty. Fallout 3, I always play it on easy. For one, I like to just actually take my time and relax. And two, there's really no difference aside from you taking more damage whenever you play on the harder difficulties. And let's talk about that. When games have a difficulty slider, certain games, they'll either make you do more, you take more damage, and the enemies take less damage, and you do less damage to them, or either they'll make it so that their difficulties, like in Diablo, excuse me, it is Devil May Cry, like the Dante Must Die mode and the basically the one-shot modes where enemies die in one hit, but you do as well, so you have to execute your combos, blocks, all this stuff. That is how you balance a difficulty when it comes to a game. There should always be some give and take, but when certain games only take from the player and don't give them anything back to make it a challenge, it's not fun. Look at Destiny's Nightfalls, the Grandmaster difficulties, for example. The only modifiers in that playlist are pure pain against the player, slower health regeneration, less damage, the enemies do more damage, they do more stomp damage, they have extra shields. There's nothing to benefit you. Period. It's just pure pain when it comes to difficulty. There's no enjoyment in the difficulty. If a game has a hard fight and I'm like, oh God, finally I did it. Awesome. There's that sense of accomplishment. And I'm not talking pride and accomplishment. Screw EA. But just the pride of actually beating a fight after a tough time. On a difficult section, that's a fun time for me. I would absolutely feel a little bit different if the game was warped in such a way that I didn't feel proud about doing that boss fight. I didn't get that adrenaline rush from doing a really cool boss fight. Bloodborne has that. This game literally has everything. There's a reason it's considered one of the greatest games of all time. It is a perfectly balanced game. The world is beautiful. The world is, it's such an experience to look at. The H.P. Lovecraft inspired horror and stuff like that, the Cthulhian mythos and all that in the world. It's just an amazing time, and the difficulty adds to that because of what's going on. You are basically a hunter hunting beasts. You are literally a little man going up against these massive creatures. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be pure strife playing through this game. God of War, you're the God of War. It's gonna be a cakewalk. Although this game is balanced a little bit weird when it comes to Give Me God of War, because if this game were actually accurate to Kratos' powers, you're basically invincible, you're God, and you have the Blades of Chaos, and you have the Leviathan Axe. I was going to quote a biblical reference, but it's not really appropriate for this. The no sword formed against you shall prosper. Doesn't really make sense with Greek mythology and Norse mythology. But it's a different kind of game. When games are like a roguelike, like Hades and Enter the Gungeon and Slay the Spire and The Binding of Isaac, they're a totally different kind of game. There was one other side-scroller similar to Enter the Gungeon. I forgot the name of it. It's a very cutesy little game, and I played it for a little while at the recommendation of a friend of mine. Neon Abyss. That's the one. Really, really fun game. You can literally beat the whole game in one sitting if you know what you're doing, and you can beat a whole chunk of levels where beat one cycle through it in like 15 minutes. It's great. These games are designed so that you basically spend the entire time leveling your character up and you get one life. But there's usually something to carry out of it, despite the difficulty. You struggle through all of this, and you learn enemy patterns, you earn upgrades to use later, and stuff like this. It's a really fun time. It's difficulty done right. Some games don't understand that. I've said that for years when it comes to Destiny and other games like that. When a game is just downright pure pain, there's no fun in it. It's not difficult, it's tedious. When a game is pure tedium, there is no point in wanting to play it and enjoy it. And I'm going to say this about a PS4. I didn't realize this thing sounded like an Apache helicopter taking off whenever you went to put a disc in it, because I thought my one was loud at times, and this thing puts off heat. It's 90 degrees in my room right now. But I'm just going to say it. No, all games do not deserve an easy mode. This whole controversy started a while back with Sekiro, and people were talking about, oh, well, the game deserves an easy mode. Do I think Sekiro deserved an easy mode? I think they deserve to actually balance the game a little bit better. And I understand, like, it's supposed to be like Dark Souls, where the world is against the player, but it's a gimmick. The way you do the fighting and stuff, it is a pure gimmick to increase difficulty for absolutely no reason. If you do have a game that is difficult and you want me to play on the harder difficulties, make it worth my while. You play God of War on harder difficulties, there's better stuff. You get special stuff for beating the game on Give Me God of War. You use the, what is it, in Sekiro, you use the Demon Bell and stuff like that, I believe that's what it's called. You get a little bit more damage to you, and that's about it. There's no justification for wanting to play the game on a harder difficulty. If you guys are enjoying this, by the way, a like and a sub would be appreciated. I kind of like doing these long form videos like this, because it's, and I will be honest too, I do watch my own videos back before I upload them, and I always am like, oh god, you did a video for 23 minutes, dude, really? But get over it. Whenever I'm looking at a game, nowadays, I don't even read reviews. I really don't. I don't check out, oh, well, I used to stand in GameStop if I was about to buy a game. I would look up a video real quick and be like, oh, what's the game like? Now, I pick up a game and I go, huh, I've heard of that. The only reason I purchased God of War is because I know it's one of the best games ever made. It is a series that I enjoyed when I was younger, and I enjoy it now. Uncharted as well. The only reason I have it is I don't look at reviews. This could be the hardest game in the world, and because I enjoyed the series so much, even if this was like Uncharted 5, I would still purchase it regardless of how difficult people said it was, because it's Uncharted. It's one of the greatest games ever made. I don't play games the way everyone else does either. I also will not shame you. Like I said earlier, I was joking about the girl. I will not shame you for playing a game on hard, easy, medium, whatever. You could honestly you could play pure pacifist playing through a game, or play a game like, you can play Minecraft where there's no creatures spawning, period, and just walk around and enjoy it. Whatever makes you happy when you play games. If you want to play the game on only hard, mega, ultra death mode, where if an enemy even goes, huh, you die, do you. Have fun. That's the whole point of gaming, is to enjoy it for what it is, and to not let anyone tell you any different. I will say this. I will judge you for playing Wolfenstein on the easiest difficulty, because the game shames you as well. But what do you guys think, though? Do you think that games all deserve, well, all games deserve an easy mode, or if they don't? I'm in, yet again, the opinion that not all games deserve an easy mode, but as long as the game is fun and fair, it can be super hard, but as long as it is those two things as well, you'll find me playing it no problem. But that's it for now, guys. If you enjoyed this, like I said, would be appreciated. Stay safe, and I will see y'all later. Peace.